Kid, Huskers Illustrated Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery, ESPN 1480 News Talk, 900 in Columbus, Big Ten Media Days live here at Chicago. New head coach at Indiana, Kevin Wilson, with us here on the program. Coach, Nebraska fans excited that you're not running it up on them at Oklahoma anymore. The bad news is you're in conference, and the Big Red will have to contend with your offense at Indiana. You've been an amazing assistant for a number of years. You get your shot as a head coach now. Talk about that transition.
You know, it's exciting. At the same time, we hadn't been running up too well against Bo's defense the last couple of years because those guys play great defense. That was an offensive juggernaut in 2009, that 10-3 game, wasn't it?
No, it was high scoring, man.
I think we could still be playing and nobody scored a touchdown. If we wouldn't have had that turnover on the one, I think we could have played. We could have played decades with those guys that never scored. It was great defensive battles.
You did put up 21 though in the second quarter, though, didn't it?
Well, we got a little moment. That was, again, it's just. It's a challenge to compete against the Bo and that defense. But it is exciting to have the opportunity to be a head football coach, and very exciting me to be a part of the Big Ten. I'm really excited about Nebraska coming to the league. And, of course, we don't play schedule-wise unless division-wise we can hook up in a championship game. But, Nebraska going from the Big 8 to the Big 12, you got a chance every year with those brackets where it's 3 or 4. Remember the one year there was 4 teams fighting in the North?
Yes. The
last week for the championship. Mm-hmm. And then the Big 10, which Nebraska's been on the outside, but there's been champions. Like last year, we have 3 champions. They all got rings. They all got trophies, and some of them didn't play each other. Well, now we're the 2 best teams play in that environment, and I do like. It is in Indianapolis, which is close to us, but I like the indoor arena. We played Nebraska in 2006 in Arrowhead, and that was a great crowd and a great game.
It's 4 degrees.
But yeah, the weather, and we're not the Colts, we're not the Packers and the Bears playing for home field, and we want a crappy weather day, and we want to play the Dolphins. You're playing for the national championship spot, maybe.
Sure. And
it's great to be in a great environment. So. Again, I'm excited to be a head coach, but I'm excited to be a part of a new Big Ten, and Nebraska is a huge part of that.
When filling out your staff, philosophy-wise, how did you go about selecting guys to round it out? Mike Eckler, I love the guy. I had a chance to talk to him a couple times at Nebraska. Did a great job recruiting at Nebraska. Did a great job developing men at Nebraska, and he's on your defense. You also have other folks you brought in, but start with Eckler and then talk a little bit about your staff as far as your mindset going into, all right, here's who I want to help represent this university.
Well, for 21 years, been D1 level, 12 with Randy Walker, offensive coach, 9 with Bob Stoops, defensive coach. With Randy, it was 5 coaches plus Randy, so it was actually 6 and 4. Mm-hmm. At Oklahoma, it was 5 on offense and it was 4 in Bob. It was 5, at Nebraska, it's 5 on O. It's 4 in Bo. I've never been to a practice, but I know what it looks like. I guarantee I got a good feel of some things the way they practice. And I love that structure. So coming from Oklahoma, the first thing I was going to do as an offensive guy was I was going to hire defense. Okay. And I was going to hire 5 coaches on defense, 2 guys up front, 2 guys in the secondary, and a linebacker coach. I looked at a couple scenarios, and one scenario that played out strong was Mike Eckler, who I had worked with, in combination with Doug Mallory. Doug's father, the old head coach at Indiana ties, but Doug also coaching with Bo at LSU.
Yes.
Mike on that staff, national championship team. I knew those guys would be in sync. I know we're not going to run, I don't think, exactly Nebraska's defense because your talent and strengths are different each week, but there's a lot of philosophical principles and beliefs that Bob and Bo have shared, and they've developed their own way, and they're similar but different. And I know Mike and Doug are a part of that fiber, and they will develop a philosophy, maybe slightly different, but some of the core values, core structure, it's going to look similar to what you guys, our defenses. Hopefully, if we play the defense you guys played, and we're going to have a chance to be in a championship game, because that's the one thing we do have to step up in Indiana is the way we play defense.
Kevin Wilson, head coach with Indiana on Huskers Illustrated Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Offensively, I mean, you've had some great offenses when you were at Oklahoma, and I imagine you're going to take that same blueprint to Indiana. How do you get some of the players? I mean, your designs and game plans were great, but you also had some guys like Sam Bradford to run them. How do you get that type of athlete to choose Indiana for football and not a Notre Dame, not an Ohio State? Nebraska's even doing extremely well in the Ohio Valley recruiting. How do you combat that?
Well, the first thing we got to do is do a good job within our state as the state school.
Okay.
Where the best player in our state's got to quit going to other Big Ten schools or Big East schools such as Cincinnati and Louisville. We've had every kid in our state come to our campus. Matter of fact, recruiting going pretty solid with on-paper commitments if that holds true. Nothing changes, though, until we win. And our academics are awesome. Our campus is off the chart. Our facility upgrade has been excellent. We put $500,000 in our place the last 2 months in graphics to have the bling, so when the recruits come in, they're seeing those bright lights and those big pictures. So there's a commitment from our administration. It's a phenomenal school. It's a program with a lot of potential and upside. And I've seen so many programs from the 70s and 80s that used to not be dominant when Nebraska and Oklahoma and Ohio State and Michigan were always dominant. Now there's other teams that you throw in the mix as power programs. They weren't that way 20, 30 years ago. They developed. I think we have everything in place to develop the same situation. It's a challenge, but it's a great opportunity, and I think we can do it. I know we can.
Well, I think the staff you've assembled and what your track record offensively, I think there's a bright future for Indiana. Nebraska has a new secondary coach, Corey Raymond. Marvin Sanders was amazing at Nebraska, especially what he did when it came to adjustments at halftime. I mean, Bo and Carl and the gang do a wonderful job, but Marvin will be missed. Corey Raymond, though, I think the players are going to really like him. What do you know about Corey, and what's Nebraska getting?
Well, Corey was Mike and Doug's guy. They were all together at LSU.
Yep.
He played at LSU, was a great player, played in the league. He was at
Indiana last year.
He was at Utah State a year ago. We actually played them in the opener at Oklahoma in the 2010 season. We brought him into Indiana. It was Mike and Doug's thought he would be a great fit for us. He was with us for about a month and a half, did a great job recruiting. But the opportunity came from Bo, and when Bo called and was up front, and Corey was up front. There was no hidden agendas. There was no, and I was like, Corey, if that's what you want to do, there's honesty. It was up front. There was no issues. He wanted to go in that direction. But it was a little tough because I think he felt comfortable with Mike and with Doug, and there was a good relationship there, and I think he saw some potential because as a coach, I'm sitting here today because of what I did at Northwestern.
Yeah.
Not Oklahoma. Northwestern got me to Oklahoma because we took a place that couldn't score points and lit it up.
Under Coach Barnett?
Under Randy Walker in 99 and 2000 and 01. And, my comment to some of our coaches, don't undervalue what our opportunity can do if we do what we're capable of doing as a program. But Corey moved on. I had two guys in mind. The other guy in mind was a guy named Brandon Shelby that is from Kansas City Rockhurst.
Oh, yeah.
But played for us at Oklahoma. So I originally wanted Brandon because I knew him.
Sure.
And Mike and Doug really wanted Corey because they knew him. We brought in Corey. Corey's got a great opportunity to work with Bo. He knows Bo. He'll do a great job for them. Brandon Shelby came in for me. It ended up being, I think, positive for all. I didn't want Corey to leave, but at the same time, wish him well. And I think it's been a positive for us.
Well, Nebraska excited to get him and excited to see Indiana down the road as football going to be back in the Hoosier State. Kevin Wilson, head coach, Indiana. Coach, best of luck. We'll do this again.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate
your time.
Good luck to you guys.
Huskers Illustrated.